This conference will now be recorded.
All right. We're here for the June 13th Planning Commission meeting. First item on the agenda is motion. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yeah, it's in the number 6, new business. We'll add it as 6B, which would be a variance.
All right. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
I make the motion.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, carries 4-0-0. Next item, approval of the May 9th minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, carries 4-0-0. We've got public hearing at 5:35. Isn't that when it was scheduled for? So maybe the next couple of minutes, what do you think we could we skip down to 6A, or what won't take very long there?
Actually, 6B probably shouldn't take very long.
6B, all right.
So you can see there's separate sheets of paper. This is the last one, 6B. It's an ad for variance at 1443 Anthony Court. Currently, they were originally 2 lots that were put together to one parcel, and you can see on the map, it's listed as one parcel there with a yellow marker in the middle of it. You can see the size and dimension of the, excuse me, the lot. The builder's looking for a variance to allow 25-foot front setback to the garage instead of 30 feet. So the current setback for R1, which is where this is 30 feet. You'd like to have 25, so it can make the backyard a little bit bigger because it's an odd-shaped lot. Would be beneficial since the lot isn't very deep and is oddly shaped. So he's looking for a variance to go from 30 feet front setback to 25 for the home which they will be constructing. And if we approve, it'll go to public hearing next month. And it's the very last piece of paper.
Schedule a public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which lot is it?
This one right here.
Okay.
And then the drawing is on.
Oh, all right, I see. Okay.
Thought it was a variance of the front yard setback, just 5 feet.
Yep, front yard setback from 30 to 25 feet. And if you're familiar with where this is, it's kind of down near where the new Christ Lutheran School is going. Near Willamere, you can see, or excuse me, Dorothea Lent Drive.
So if we schedule a public hearing, what would be the date, time?
Oh, I knew you'd ask me that. It's July 11th, I believe, which is a Tuesday.
At 5:35.
Yes. It's July 11th. It's July 11th. at
Must
Tuesday.
be, that's what you've got on the next public hearing here.
So look right on your phone.
It's a Wednesday.
What?
No, it's just.
So yeah, we set it for July 11th.
Did somebody make a motion for that? Okay. And was there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, carries 4-0-0. All right, now I think we've got 5:35, so what we have is a public hearing for a variance request at 407 East Third Ave. Before I open the public hearing for comment, maybe if Kurt wants to give a little bit of background.
Sure, there was as you can see here, a variance application came in from Deborah White at 407 East Third Avenue for a variance to build a garage. The parcel zoned is R2. Parcel is a corner lot, the junction of two public streets. The variance would allow the garage to be built at the end of the driveway, which would impede on the 12-foot side yard setback, as we discussed in our last meeting. The total coverage with the garage would be 35% of the lot, which that part fits the ordinance. Height of the garage would be 14 feet, 8 inches. And so that's why we're at the public hearing today. Is there something else I missed on that?
Do we know exactly where the lot line is? Is that on the one drawing? Is it basically the 12-foot line off of the curb is where the lot line is? Is that? am I
Correct.
reading
So
that right?
the garage would impede roughly 10 feet into that 12-foot setback on that side of that public street.
Well, what I was getting at is where the lot line is, because we don't want to, it's not necessarily at the curb, right? It's,
Correct. So you can see that's the lot line right there on the.
yeah, so it kind of runs just to the south of the cement slab.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So from there, the normal setback would be 12 feet.
Correct. Because it's on a public street on a corner lot.
So the red line then, is that where the normal setback should be? That's sort of about a third of the way up of on the slab, or is that red line meaningless?
That red line's meaningless.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So
The drawing itself on the top here would be a little bit better of a
okay.
look at it.
Excuse me, is there a way that you can display to everyone in the room what you're looking at? And I'll put it up on the screen?
Well, we can't do it.
Well, just showing it to me isn't showing it to everyone.
Right. Oh, you got it.
Well, I don't know what I have, because I don't know what you're looking at.
Oh, we're looking at this picture right there.
Well, I don't see any red line on mine.
There you go.
This is what you're looking
You got it.
at. Okay, thank you. You want to start back over now that I know what you're looking at?
The red line you said means isn't
Nothing.
for.
The red line are just, those are just, they're just lengths or like distances from certain things. So from the front yard to the front, from the front street of the house to the lot line is 14 feet, which is what we're looking at right there. From the side street going to the lot line is 12 feet. From the end of the driveway going to the back of the lot is 35 feet. So that's what those mean. It's just random measurements for you to have as a reference.
And do they want the garage in that 35 feet going east? Is that where they want to place the garage?
So you can see that driveway there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume it'd be at the end
So
of that.
so they leave the driveway as is and then build the garage on the green space there.
Correct.
I'm just trying to figure out what exactly the variance is, because, we've got the lot line identified as the thin white line that runs east-west just to the south of the cement slab, right?
Yep.
And then you go 12 feet to the north of that would be the normal setback, right?
Correct.
So how much into that 12-foot setback is the
It
garage?
looks like it's 10 feet.
10 feet.
Yeah.
It would be 10 feet to the south?
So it's going to be running approximately parallel with the south line of the cement slab. Is that where the garage is going to be?
Yeah.
The garage will be like right here, right into that.
Yeah, it encroaches into the setback by
10 feet.
Yep, so the garage will go like this here in that driveway.
Mhm.
So we can see there'll be a 2 feet left if we.
Okay.
So the request is a 10-foot variance then into the side yard setback.
And this
So-
is 12 feet from the street.
This is a setback from the curb to the
That's just the
property
current,
line.
yeah, that's just the current amount they have until they get their property.
And how far is the garage gonna sit into this 12 feet?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Garage will come, like, kind of wrong.
Oh, go right ahead.
So that's-
So it's not going into this, but technically.
No, it stays on their property.
Well, you know where that pine tree is? It sits right there. So right there.
Okay, we got it.
Right even with that pine tree.
All right, now we've got side yard variance. I can open the public hearing. This gives people comment, the opportunity to comment on the variance request. Before I hear generally from the audience, does the property owner have anything you want to say first?
I'm just wondering what the issues are,
Well,
because it's back far enough so it should not impede the stop sign.
and it's the burden of the property owner to show the 5 variance factors that are in our ordinance that you have to show practical difficulties complying with the ordinance, that this request isn't due to circumstances or is due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the landowner. The variance if granted will not alter the essential character of the locality. Variance requested is the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulty, and the variance would not be materially detrimental to the purpose of the general purpose of the ordinance. So
Correct.
I assume the main purpose of this is just the small lot size.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, well, I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody have any comments on?
Well, I have a question. How are they going to get that out of there if they decide they want a new trailer? The hitches are right up front there and the garage would impede them from taking it out of there.
Hitch.
Yeah, it's a trailer. It has wheels. It goes, they've brought it in with 2 semis, so how would they get it out? That's my question.
The lights, but
It's in the way, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to move it.
I think it's supposed to be a permanent residence.
That is a permanent residence.
Well, but their lifespan is only 20 to 35 years.
They'll have to deal with that.
Right, let somebody else deal with it. And
Is anybody taking notes on the comments? Or-
We've got the recording as
All right.
well.
And what about the water runoff?
Water runoff?
Yeah, because that cement slab is up higher. And so they've already put a drain tube underneath the fence. So what are they going to do for water runoff from this? Because I'm sure it'll be more cement and more runoff.
I'll call you back.
We did not put a drain underneath a fence.
Brad Dracon saw it.
Huh?
Bradley Dracon saw it. The mayor.
So what's the question?
What are they going to do with the runoff? Obviously, there's, a lot of cement there. Where's it going to go?
So the drainage plan has to be,
Because everything is built up around me.
drainage right now head out into the front gutter, or does it go up into the backyard?
It goes into the front yard, or excuse me, front street.
front street and direct it to the storm
From your
sewer.
house,
Yes.
not from the cement.
No.
The cement slope to the front too.
Add it back. And another question, when you look at this, it looks fine. But if you went up farther and got that other house in there and look at that garage, that leaves me with 140 feet of nothing but building on that west side of my house, on my property. 140 feet, there isn't.
You're the lot to the east?
Yeah, my lot is where that shed is. Yeah, yeah, but Audrey's garage, you put that in this, and the garage, it's gonna be 140 feet of buildings that are 5 feet off the property line. And there is not another place in Zumbrota that has that many buildings walling another resident up.
Where is your house, ma'am?
My question is, I understand,
My house, if you see, here, excuse me. If you see this shed here, this is the end of my lot. I've got a double lot. I'm up here.
Where that 545
Yes.
number is where your house is.
Right. So that totally encloses me in. There's maybe 20 feet maximum of open space there between the buildings, maximum.
I just got one question is, why can't we build a garage that fits the property? Why do we need a variance? Why do we have to build such a big garage? I'm not opposed to having a garage, but why does it have to be wider? I mean, why can't we build a regular garage that fits the property without having a variance?
Good question.
Why can't it be larger? I mean, the lot is the size it is. I had no choice in the size of a lot. That is what they chose
Well,
to
I
sell.
understand that.
But that's why Dale didn't sell it for 60 years, because he said it was too small to build on. And then the city decided, oh yes, we'll sell it separate. So that shouldn't be, the people that have lived there's fault.
Well, I got no problem with the garage. I just think it should be the way it is.
And is this gonna be 5 feet off the property line again?
No, it's gonna be 7 feet. Looks like. It's 28 feet long, isn't it? Is that right? Okay.
This is the property, and talking about the garage. This is the millers here.
It says 6 feet on this sketch.
Oh, only 6 feet away again, okay.
And I have another question that just comes to mind is, when she was putting this house there, were there any plans submitted for that house with a garage at that time? Or is this an afterthought?
Trailer
No,
houses don't
I
come
was-
with garages.
I was told by,
King,
that I could add a garage further down the road.
Yeah,
it was in the bottle, I'm sure.
he's not here anymore.
Promises
No.
about granting a variance.
You know what, I gotta step in here, Jane. You're all one. You wanna talk about city staff, that way you can leave. Understand me?
Yes, I understand you, sorry.
I don't think Dan would have made any promises about granting a variance.
That's all he said. He didn't make a promise. He just said further down the road, if you want to add a garage, you can add a garage.
As long as it's in compliance with the zoning ordinance, right?
He didn't say that part. That's just what he told me.
Anybody else?
I too question why a variance is needed to build a garage. The garage could fit within the property size. I don't hear anyone saying don't build a garage, and I think a no vote doesn't mean a garage can't be built. I wonder why we have these setbacks if we're going to allow variances to maximize beyond property. And you raise the issue of, have these 5 criteria been met for granting a variance? I didn't hear any explanation of any of the 5.
The reason we were asking for one is because if we didn't ask for one and we built a smaller garage, we have 2 drivers there, and my mother and I would both like to be able to protect our vehicles from the elements when we're not using them. And we wouldn't be able to do that if we had a smaller garage, because with the setbacks, we wouldn't be able to make a very big one. I believe, I haven't done the math actually, but it would be quite smaller.
Well, I have a 2-car attached garage to a multi-level home, and my garage space is smaller than this proposed garage space. So this is, the size that's there is above and beyond a standard 2-car garage. It's not a 3-car, I'm not saying that, but it is larger than a standard 2-car garage, from what I could determine.
We are looking to add some storage so that we do not look bad for our neighbors, and that our neighbors don't have to call the cops on us multiple times a year because my son is working on a car or something else. So we are trying to make the neighborhood look better by having a garage and a little bit of extra storage.
Well, is he going to be having his own business in the garage?
No. It's for his own use.
And with that, on the front, there is not a whole lot of extra room besides the 2 garage doors. And as far as the depth of it, my truck is between 24 feet. And even at 24 feet, you have maybe a foot or so or less on the front and back when you close the garage door. So that's why with 28 feet, you have a little extra room so you can actually walk around the vehicles.
I can appreciate the concern for storage, but there's an entire business out there that is storage, because many individuals are not able to contain within buildings. So building a garage bigger does not equate to there will be adequate storage. Many of us fill the space that we have and beyond, regardless of how much space we have. And I being one.
Depth though, right? 28 feet.
Yeah.
Back, we're talking about side yard, right?
Yes.
As far as the variance goes, 20,
Oh, sorry.
you're asking for a 26-foot wide garage. And if you had to comply with the setback, you'd have to subtract 10 feet off of that. So it'd be a 16-foot wide garage, right?
Or the whole structure shifts to the north.
What's the minimum distance between a principal structure and a detached garage? Do we remember? 5 feet?
Yeah.
And right now it's, what is that?
They got it listed there,
19 feet?
Yeah.
Between the house and the garage?
Yeah.
Have you thought about sliding the garage over to the, whatever direction it is, towards the house?
That would alleviate this problem.
We haven't really, because my mother had a patio put in, and that would cause us to have to destroy thousands of dollars worth of concrete work. It was the biggest reason why we weren't looking to do that.
Is there a curb cut there for the driveway?
Yes.
Because I'm just thinking the driveway won't line up then either. So you have to widen the driveway, but the curb cut is already there, so.
Any other comments?
Where is it? What about a curb cut? What do you,
Oh, I'm just, because it appears to me the garage as designed lines up with the driveway.
Oh.
I'm guessing that's why it's where it's sitting. You know, probably could go all the way up to the patio, but then the driveway's not lined up and then you're gonna have to do more driveway. Cut the curb, but yeah, so there's give and take both ways there.
But I think that applies to your number 2 on criteria for granting a variance. Apply to the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the landowner. Was this created because of where a proposed driveway was placed? And created because they have a patio space.
How far does the patio come out from the house?
Approximately 8 feet.
So 11 or 19 feet between, you said?
Yeah.
So it could conceivably shift over 11 feet. And not impede on the patio.
Right. I know one of the bigger concerns is, especially with corner lots or sight lines when traffic come up to that intersection. You know, will that garage create a problem or not so much? That remains to be determined. But I guess it'd be no different than trying to cross Main Street with the way those cars are parked.
It's cheaper to cross at our house on the corner than Main Street.
Anyway, any more comments? Otherwise, I'll get ready to close the public hearing.
is it gonna make any difference if we say anything more or not? Or I mean, is this a given or is it just the formalities?
No, this is opportunity for neighbors or whoever to express their concerns, and then planning commission will have a discussion, several options, and then if it ever gets up to city council, they'll be the final decider.
When is that meeting?
It'll depend on what the commission does today.
And will the neighborhood then be notified again?
There would be, well, any decision, whether it's at this meeting by the planning commission or at next month's meeting, that'd be open to the public. And then whenever a recommendation is made, if there is one, then the city council would take it up at the next open meeting, regular meeting of the city council. So you'd be welcome to attend that meeting. But this will be your only written notice of that there's a public hearing is today.
So I guess I'm not sure my question was answered. How will we know what the decision is and whether there will be another meeting could be attended and when that meeting would be? How will we know the results of this meeting?
And then there's different options. We can either make a motion to recommend approval or denial to city council right now today, and then city council take it up at the next city council meeting, which is going to be
Thursday.
There's 2 days, yeah.
2 days.
Or
Do an ad.
planning commission, if we need more time, because we only have 4 out of 7 here, we can ask for an extension of what's called a 60-day rule and take it up at the next planning meeting, which will be July 11th. So it's not set in stone yet. We need to discuss it after I close the public hearing.
But you'll know one way or the other if you stay for the rest of this meeting.
I'm sorry, only one way or another, if I stay for,
Yeah, if you stay for the rest of the discussion. Because at the end of the discussion, the decision will be made, is what Matt's trying to say.
so the public can remain for that meeting, it's just not,
Oh, yeah, it's a fully open meeting. Sorry, Matt, I'm stepping on you now.
well, when I heard the public hearing is over, I thought you were saying then we all needed to leave.
No,
And so then how would I know what the results were?
No.
all these meetings are open. You can come to every city council meeting. In fact, you're encouraged to come.
Every park board and every.
We're starving for people to come to
You
these
don't want to
meetings.
see me at every city council meeting. I don't want to be, you guys should be doing your job, so I don't need to come to meetings, right?
Well, there's a variance process for a reason, so that we are doing our
Yes, no,
job.
I appreciate that. So, okay, I'm done. Now I know.
Any other comments? Going once, going twice? I'll close the public hearing. All right, so like we hinted at, the commission has, we can have some discussion, and then we've got options whether to, if we're prepared to make a motion and a recommendation to either approve or deny the variance. We probably should make some findings consistent with, or in compliance with those 5 factors for a variance. Or if we feel like we want the full commission to discuss this at the next meeting, assuming there will be more people here on July 11th, we can do that. City council or city staff would have to send out a written notification that we're extending the 60-day rule, another 60 days to, before we reach a decision.
Are we into 30 days already? Or
When was the application filed? Do we know?
we talked about it last month, I think.
Yeah, I don't have it here. Yeah, we're into 30 days.
Last month.
Talk about that. So
We
the
missed
application
it.
was filed before then, so definitely past 30. Yeah.
We have 30 days yet.
I'd say if we were going to discuss it again at the next meeting, we should do an automatic 60-day extension to be safe.
Well, I would certainly feel better if there were more committee members to help us make a decision.
Has anybody had an opportunity to drive out there and take a look at it?
I've been out there. Yep. And I went this afternoon and looked at it.
Kind of a good feel for where the line of the end of the garage will be,
Yeah,
sort of consistent with the slab.
if the garage was smaller, would there be a problem?
Well, the variance right now is 10 feet, so
Right.
it would have to be sort of, I think, what's a safe figure? So roughly the south line of that cement slab is roughly going to be where the end of the south line of the proposed garage will be. So you'd have to go 10 feet to the north, right?
If they moved it over, I think it would fit without the variance.
I don't know that it would be such a problem with the site at the, for the visual site for people coming down the street going this way.
And I think it just thinking about it, I don't think, yeah, visually, it's far enough back, it's not gonna impede the corner at all, but if there's room to meet the setback and still have the same size garage.
Mhm.
There is, without even impeding the patio, without touching the patio, the way it looks.
The driveway would.
It'll mess up the driveway a little bit. You'd have to come up with a fix for that, put more driveway or an angle or something like that. But just my thought, just,
Mhm. So you'd rather not tear up the patio, I'm sure. But if you would move the patio, then you could get the garage in the way it should be? Am I looking at that right?
no.
Okay. What's the problem?
The opposite side of that.
I think it can move over 10 feet and not touch the patio.
Okay,
And still meet the 12-foot setback.
okay.
The problem is how close to Fifth Avenue is it? Right?
That's the variance request, right?
That's where the
Yeah.
variance is.
I think we should be talking apples to apples.
What about the utility stuff, the water and the lines and stuff? Where do they run?
They're in the right of way.
They come off
Right, but when they did cable or whatever.
Over there, that, they went right underneath my pine tree. That big pine tree in the back. So that's why I'm wondering, would the garage be right on the line of them?
No, it would be right behind it.
Okay. Commission have any thoughts? Which way you want to go?
Well, I would like to table it until more of the committee was here, with just three of us, really. And Matt.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, to get more opinion,
Mhm.
because there's.
I think so. Yes?
And will they hear the concerns in our response before the next meeting?
So you'll give them a summary.
Yeah, and they can go listen to it too. It's all recorded, so all the comments were on there.
Is that part of their job to do that?
Sure. We can ask them to get themselves up to speed.
Okay.
On what was said. Yep.
I guess my biggest thing would be is if we did move it over, cosmetically, we'd have to add onto the driveway and it would shift, so then you have part of the driveway just going into nothing, which wouldn't be the most eye appealing. But then also it'd cost thousands more in concrete work as well, which then therefore would be impeding the possibility of my mother being able to afford the whole thing altogether. So,
Take that into consideration as well.
So was that kind of a motion, Beth, or?
I'd like to make a motion that we table the matter until our next meeting, which is July 11th.
And then the council meeting will be July 13th.
Is there a second? Further discussion? Send out a notice that we're going to extend the 60-day rule.
That's a notice to the owner.
All right, not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Carries 400. Thanks for coming. Part of the process. Appreciate you showing up.
Okay. Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay.
That's it.
5A, Kurt, go ahead.
So we got a review of the zoning ordinance amendment application submitted by Mr. Amundson, adding laying ducks to the current chicken ordinance. Each member was given examples from around the state to consider before the meeting. Email sent around as well. And then Brian and I typed up, well, Brian mainly typed it up and I had a couple things. The ordinance by adding laying ducks to it. So it's basically putting chickens / laying ducks. And the one that I added in the verbiage, what is it, E4, is about prohibiting the use of small pools for ducks. City limits, because they don't need pools.
What do they need?
They just need like a water bucket to wash their face, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not a pool, it's,
Only two questions are, do we need a definition of laying duck, or is that pretty well common knowledge what
I
a
think
laying
it's
duck is?
common knowledge from when you look them up.
Yeah.
They come up pretty good.
And
We can put the definition of a laying duck in the ordinance though.
yeah, maybe. I mean, sometimes good solid definitions are all right to maybe look into. And then the other question I had was, we've got some general discussion on clean, sanitary, odor-free environment. Is that sufficient, or do we need more duck specific?
I think it's just like chickens. From the research I've done, I haven't seen them do anything much different than a chicken.
And then the proposal is combination of 10 is still the max, but out of those, only 2 would be ducks, right? So you can have 2 ducks, 8 chickens. Is that the way I'm reading it?
I believe so.
That was, again, this was a draft originally when Kevin brought this up. Evidently ducks do not lay eggs like chickens as quickly. So 2 laying ducks would not produce, it's very few eggs over the same time period.
Right.
So it was requested that 2 laying ducks be removed and have it, just kind of strike that whole line, other than,
Sort of
a combination of basically just a combination of 10 hen chickens and or laying ducks.
You could have a max of 10 ducks.
Max of 10
Possibly.
everything, yeah. Yep. Or 5 chickens and 5 ducks, or 6 chickens and 4 ducks.
I remember, I think Tom, who's not here, had commented on maybe some other ordinances limited the number of ducks to something like 4 or 6. I don't know if that makes a difference, if that's important or not.
Because they make an awful mess.
Yeah, I know, and you can always make the argument about dogs make a bigger mess. But
They don't.
Yeah, Matt, I'm with you. I think in the things that we were sent, it seemed like there was some stipulation on how many ducks in several of the ones that went out. I mean, I wouldn't be adverse to that if 2 is too few, like 4, 5 or something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like other cities did it, so they may have had some.
Yeah, a lot of them were 4 that I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, in reading it, it seemed like they were limiting how many ducks. I don't
do
know.
you have any thoughts on that?
He did, yeah, I think he wanted to have up to 10 to get enough eggs. But that's just, we did a comparison. You're right. We looked at other ordinances and how they're written, and rather than reinventing the wheel, there were reasons behind 4 ducks in those. So I would not be opposed to rewriting it with 4 ducks and maybe bringing it back, when Kevin can be here. Kevin couldn't make it. I can't remember where he's at, but.
Or even like with you know, the other members being here and
With the
having
other
their
members
input
as
as well.
Yeah.
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 Is there any rush on, so can we revisit?
Not at this point. Yeah, we can revisit. I think we probably should since Kevin isn't here, because he's done an incredible amount of research on ducks. And he would have an answer to anything. And so I think if you could identify a few changes you'd like to see in here, and then we can make those changes and bring it back to the July 11th meeting as well. It's going to be just a complete repeat of the same meeting, isn't it? Let's just do it.
You'll be here?
And then we can,
I'm got a question. Am I allowed to ask questions? Do I have to be on the agenda? Do I have to?
go for it.
We're gonna have 10 chickens on potentially every property in Zumbrota.
The ordinance is already there for chickens. We are
For
only
property
modifying it.
owner or per lot? Because some property owners have more than one lot.
How does it read?
I have 4 lots. I can go get 40 chickens?
It's the parcel.
Pardon?
A maximum of 10 on each parcel, so it's.
I have 4 parcels in one property. I can have 40 chickens.
No.
Why not? What's the difference? If you're gonna say 10 chickens per parcel, I'm
I think it's
devil's
tied, I
advocate.
think it's tied to the residents. 'Cause I could own 4 lots, and if they're all combined in one tax parcel, or I've got 4 separate lots with 4 different parcels, if there's one home, that's the determiner.
Is that spelled out?
That's the way it is.
If it's not written and spelled out that way, what's gonna prevent me from saying, I have 4 separate lots? I have 4 separate tax statements.
That doesn't matter.
Okay. All right.
Do we have that spelled out in when we agreed on the chickens?
I know that if you own multiple lots, like the one example of Wanamingo there's, I can't remember if it's Beverly Hills subdivision, but those lots are like 10 or 12 or 15 feet wide, and people own like 8 lots. But there's one residence on all, covering all those lots, so I think that's the proper interpretation. And whether there's separate tax parcels or not, I don't think that matters either.
Well, if we're amending the ordinance of ducks, we could amend it to say maximum on a parcel per primary resident.
Makes sense.
It clearly states it's a parcel with one primary residence. I don't know.
How clear it is with our chicken ordinance.
A parcel per primary residence.
It's clear that it's per one home. Yeah, I'd be in favor of limiting the number of ducks to no more than 4.
Okay. I'll put that in there as a,
And these are hens, not roosters waking me up in the morning, right?
yeah, roosters aren't allowed.
Roosters are not allowed.
And laying ducks are not Drake mallards, right?
Correct.
Want to fly. What do they do with ducks? I mean, that's what ducks want to do. They want to be in the water and they want to fly. And they lay eggs.
I think Kevin had said that one day that the laying ducks don't fly, didn't he?
Right.
I think he had made some comment like that. They're too heavy or,
So it does say on a parcel in the chicken, so let's, note that, Kurt, and we can.
Yes. Under letter E, it says per parcel. On a parcel shall be permitted.
Oh, sure, I spent all the time looking up the ordinances right in front of me.
I think you're confusing what's parcel mean in the zoning ordinance versus in the world of property tax. I think they're two different. And the same with lot. You could own 2 or 3 lots in a subdivision, but a lot in the zoning ordinance is, I think, given a little bit different treatment. But yeah, that's perfectly fine to clarify that. That's great. All right, any other discussion on that? We'll revisit that at the next meeting. Is there anything else there, Kurt? Rural Service District 6A?
Yeah, just real quick. Rural Service District is from Goodhue County. It's established in 2020. States that parcels within the Rural Service District need to be certified by Goodhue County by their finance and taxpayer services by August 1st of the levy year. The district includes parcels that are rural in character and not developed for commercial, industrial, or urban residential purposes and shall be kept at its current rate of 80% for 2023. The county is requesting a public hearing be held on July 11th. So I received this from the county, and the write-up from the county of all the rural service district lands. You can see numbers 1 through 25. These are lands that don't have, they're in city limits, but they're, how do you say this? They're not industrialized or commercialized at all.
Just vacant.
Just pretty much vacant, yeah. There's no development of any
Yeah,
kind.
it's our job to verify that.
Right. And I've gone through, found them all and gone through it all. I just need to have a public hearing to let the public know. And then I can send it off to the county.
So the county sort of pre-designate these and then we hold the public hearing to verify, or?
Correct. So they sent me a list.
It's got to do with taxes.
Mhm.
If they're taxing it as a ag land and it's not any longer, they want to make sure they catch that.
And this was done last year in August. I found the minutes. So we've done it before.
Yep.
So this, there's Green Acres that's been in effect for decades, which says if you own farmland that's in city limits and maybe could be considered maybe a commercial lot, but you're farming it, you prove it up and you file an application with the county, you file a Schedule F that shows you're actually farming it, and then they'll keep it ag classification rather than put it to the highest best use, which could be commercial. So that's a little bit different than this, but it kind of is it the same concept?
I believe so. Like you said. Like I said, it's only been around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So Green Acres, I believe, has been around for
Long time.
several more.
Okay, so we have to schedule a public hearing. We scheduled one for 5:35 on,
July 11th.
and that was for what again? Anthony Court. So this one should be what, 5:45?
Yes.
Anybody care to make that motion to schedule a public hearing?
schedule the public hearing for the ordinance for certifying tax districts, establishing rural service districts and urban service districts.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, carries. Anything else? I'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks for coming.
See you next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just walked. Yeah, it might be some people.
Get on this planet. so-
Everybody better keep their.
No kidding. Yeah.
Why would I want to?
Yeah, get that out right away, Kurt.